Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I would just like to start the session with a quote from Shakespeare's Hamlet. And the quote goes on like this: "Brevity is the soul of wit." So that brevity and the platform on which I am today, I guess there's a lot of similarity. So I'll make sure that I maintain brevity in my talk as well. So first of all, thank you, Rohit, for giving me this opportunity to come here and share my views with everyone. Although I'm a communications specialist by profession, but the subject which I've chosen for this afternoon is resilience in women. So recently, my colleague Dr. Maya David from Malaysia, University of Malaysia, and we have written a paper, and the paper title is Coping Strategies in Women. So what we did was that, I'm not going to share anything theoretical in my talk. It's all practical, something which we have observed and researched and finally found out. So basically, the paper talks about all those women who've been brutally battered by the society, by their family, and other external factors, and the kind of coping strategies they have used in order to overcome those adverse situations of their life. That is what I'm going to talk about. Though a lot of research has already been done, if I quote previous researchers quote that females, if they have family support, community support, it helps them to overcome the difficult situations of their life and also helps them build up resilience. But this was just some kind of primer on the subject. Now I'd like to talk about the subject in detail. First of all, what is resilience? Resilience, if I have to explain in very simple words, resilience is it's very synonymous to flexibility or adaptability in a person. Resilience is the tendency to bounce back in a situation no matter how tough or acerbic the situation is. Resilience is the tendency or is the ability to deal with difficult situations of your life, to deal with distortions, to deal with problems, and in spite of all these things, ensuring a positive attitude. That is what is resilience, right? So we try to find out through our study as to what helps these women build up resilience during their adverse situations. So like Dr. Tripti mentioned about Arunima Sinha, we also studied many women. One was a victim of physical assault, second was a victim of sexual assault, and third one was an acid attack survivor. So we did around 2-3 rounds of interviews with them, and we recorded the entire narratives. Those narratives, they were transliterated, then they were translated, and after that finally they were transcribed. So out of the entire narrative, we did a kind of thematic analysis. And one thing is for sure, that no matter what people say, but women have so much of potential, so much of talent, that if they are determined, they will certainly bounce back no matter how difficult the situation is. And this reminds me of a beautiful poem by Maya Angelou. I'll just read out 1 to 3 lines from Maya Angelou's poem titled Still I Rise. The poem goes on like this: "You may write me down in history. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise." So that is the soul of women. And I realized that, to a very close extent, this quote stood apt as far as the women we studied and the factors that emerged as to what kind of coping strategies these women used as far as their survival during the adverse situation was concerned. Number one was the family support. Family support was nothing very new. Even this was proved by a lot of researchers earlier also. We also came across this as a very important thing in order to help women build up resilience. But what differentiating factor in our study was that in the family, the support of the male member, it helps a lot in building up resilience in women. It could be the support of father, it could be the support of brother or anybody else. So when the father supports the girl, when the brother supports the girl, I think it gives them more strength as compared to strength received from the mother. So whether you talk about Arunima Sinha, because I also interviewed her and we spoke at length, or it was her brother-in-law in her case, and now she has summited all the 7 highest peaks of the 7 continents, Arunima. You talk of Lakshmi Agrawal, again her father was a huge support. You talk about Usha Vishwakarma, who again belongs to our community itself. Her father was a huge support. So I believe the support of male members, particularly in as far as family support is concerned, helps women build up resilience to a great extent. The second thing which we found out was that self-determination in women matters a lot. No matter how tough the situation is, acid attack survivor, sexual assault survivor, physical assault survivor, where like Dr. Tripti was sharing the story of Arunima Sinha, she was lying on the railway track for more than 8 hours with 48 trains passing by and nobody to her rescue. So I think in that kind of situation, and when she was taken to a nearby town hospital, the only murmur she could overhear from the doctors was that we don't have anesthesia. So how do we operate her? So what she said was that, doctor, I was lying on the railway track for 8 hours and 48 trains passing by. If I could bear that pain, please do it without anesthesia. I think self-determination is something which comes from, definitely the most important factor is family support, and also a cognizance of your value system, your strengths, your vulnerabilities and the environment around you. That is how you build up your self-determination. Apart from that, the third thing which emerged from our study was that positive thinking. Positive thinking, people keep on talking about positive thinking, but I think this is something which is so very important for women. Unless and until we think positively, it can never materialize. Now, I agree that some of you might be thinking that, saying positive thinking is very, very easy, but I have myself practiced this thing. The more negative we think, the more negative things we draw towards us in our life. Like Rhonda Byrne rightly quoted, think positive and positive things start happening around you. Yeah, so Rhonda Byrne, The Secret, it's a beautiful book, one must read because it has impacted me, and I'm sure a lot of people who read it will definitely be impacted. And the fourth very important point which helped these women build up resilience in them was task-oriented coping. What is task-orientedness? Task-orientedness, in our case, we found out that when it was the case of Arunima, she engaged herself, she set for herself a goal and she immersed herself in that goal and put in her entire effort to achieve that goal. That is what is task orientedness. So you set up a goal for yourself and then you immerse yourself totally into it and you're oblivious of the whole world, what's happening around you. Whereas the other 2 participants of our study, their task orientedness was a little different in the sense that instead of focusing on their own self, they thought of devoting themselves or engaging their life towards helping those people who are very similar, who are in a similar condition like them. So like for example, if you take the example of Lakshmi Agrawal, the acid attack survivor, you take the example of Usha Vishwakarma, victim of sexual assault. So these people always chose to help other women who are more or less in similar kind of situation. So these were certain findings. What was new in our paper is, like I mentioned, that family and community support definitely is very important for women. Government also creates a lot of policies, but I think somewhere there are some gaps which we have identified, and we have also mentioned in the paper in the form of recommendations that whenever the government forms policies, the government should always rope in these kind of people, especially the recipients of those policies. At least one representative should be there on board from that particular group. Also, I think the government should conduct a lot of campaigns, especially in a country like India, where violence against women is so rampant, it's so pervasive that, you know, sometimes it feels like human rights is completely violated as far as women is concerned. Women are concerned. Therefore, government should also take some kind of action in order to conduct a lot of campaigns to sensitize men, to make them educated and you know, enable them to support the women of their families and their life. So that is all I wanted to say. And towards the end, I just want to you know, read out a shloka. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devata yatre tastu na pujyante. So वहाँ पर देवता भी जो है, they are not there, right? So जहाँ पर नारियों का सम्मान है, नारियों की respect है, gods also reside there. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much.